Too many personal trainers out there are broke and burned out. And today we are going to talk to a six-figure coach about how she quadrupled the amount she was making as a coach so that she could have more time, more money, more freedom, better health. And how did she do that? What does that look like? And what were some of the things that she was missing that had kept her stuck? Our special guest today. Welcome, Erica.
Hey.
Well, Erica Peters, you have your master's in public health. You've been a certified personal trainer for decades, 26, 27 years. Tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, what you've done, and take us back to a year ago and what were some of the things that you were struggling for. So give us a background and then where were we at? And then we're going to reverse engineer how did you get to where you are today?
A year ago, well, a little over a year ago, I was working 5 to 6 mornings a week, starting at 7 a.m. was the first patient, working for a company that does low carb lifestyle or did low carb lifestyle for the first 8 years that I was there. And then the last 3 or 4 years, we've brought in the GLP medications for weight loss, which changed the game entirely.
Mhm.
Um, but I got an immense experience in the supplements, hormones, and eating lower carb, regulating blood sugar, and losing weight that way. Very difficult to do, but it was really based on behavioral modification and diet. The GLPs or the Ozempic and Zepbound came into the picture and changed everything. I mean, literally,
Sure.
the diet went out the window, and everybody was just scurrying to get these meds so that they can lose as much weight as they possibly could
Yeah.
without struggling so much. As we know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And what I saw happening was a lot of loss of lean body mass and muscle mass, which, a lot of the demographic coming to this company were my age, women in there between 45 and 65, really smack dab in the middle of perimenopause and menopause, postmenopause. And so they were causing more destruction to
Yeah.
their metabolisms. And so part of my desire was to get away from this kind of the business had to do what they had to do. They had to continue to sort of sell and keep up with the medications. But I believe in, also if you're going to do that, doing it responsibly in the way of using building and maintaining muscle mass because it's crucial for so many reasons. So I was working a lot, and so I just took a risk and I separated from Jumpstart and I started and I joined you guys, and I wanted to learn how to run a business. I wanted to learn how to run it in a way that I could work less and make more money and help more people, like have a
Yeah.
greater reach without having to literally be in a car running around, going to everybody's homes. And so I found your website and it seemed really interesting. I also like the sort of frankness, how authentic you were about everything.
Yeah.
Um, so I decided to take that risk and change things up, and as a result I was able to double my income as a personal trainer and coach, because that's, as we know, I do a lot of coaching in my personal training. So
Yeah, yeah. And so as like I meet so many, like some people are that join us in the Health Professional Academy, they were medical doctors and now they want to help in a different way. And but some people are like personal trainers or massage therapists,
oh yeah.
and they're used to being paid by the hour or by the session. And they're working really hard. And so many of them are just exhausted. So we're in this healthcare, whether you're a doctor or a personal trainer, you're there helping other people with their health at the expense of yours.
a
Usually,
hundred percent
and so you got no time. And so the only way for your income to go up is if your free time goes down. So less
right,
free time for your health, your relationships, your fun, etc. And so there's this trade-off, much like the GLP-1s. Yes, it
right.
loses weight, but it also loses muscle mass, and there's these side effects. And so
Yeah.
my philosophy is that when we get to the root cause, and so if we help people decrease inflammation and get to the root, when you help people lose weight, they maintain and build their muscle mass, they increase their energy, they increase they improve their mood, they improve their sleep, and their relationships improve and everything improves. And same too with the philosophies that I teach about business, so that we don't have to decide between, making a living and living, for example. And so a year ago, at the point up to that point, you've been paid by the hour. You had a front row seat, which is very valuable. You've been a wealth of information firsthand, and the stats. Like we've had you present in our virtual retreats, because you know a lot about, well, the Masters of Public Health doesn't hurt either, but really more importantly, like really up close and personal with so many people who have just gone head on into these GLP-1s, and what even you've shared some of the benefits of it, but also the at the costs of what. And so really just very, again, frank as far as like what does this mean? And so when you were a year ago and you're looking for what was the reason that you left the way that was working? What wasn't working? Was it that what the time? Tell
Time.
us a little bit about that. And like income, did you feel like you were capped at a ceiling?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was time. I mean, my time was maxed out. I mean, I could have made maybe another $300 or $400 if I worked the weekend, but then I think it would never would. I just, no, it just was not going to happen. So I think for me, it was time. This company had a lot of my time. And so if I could
Yeah.
free that time up to build, that was going to be a risk I had to take. And it worked.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
time is the main thing.
yeah. And what were some of the things that were as so you're like, okay, I want to structure this differently. I want to create a better income, and I want to help people that in a way that feels more aligned as well. Um, Helping people with their nutrition, helping them build their muscle. Um, what were some of the so starting your own business is no joke. Right.
Yeah,
So again, to tell it like it is, like, so if we think like, okay, here I am,
right,
dust off the shingles, no longer working for somebody else, I'm working for myself, and here we go.
right.
And uh, so what were some of the hard parts that what were some of the challenges that you met as you ventured out, or did we pop along right away and you didn't actually have to go through any of
I
those
did pretty
changes?
well, I have to say. I mean, I did open up and help run a small law firm, and goodness gracious. I every time you talk about running a business, I'm like, I feel it. I know what that is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this is not that. So in a
Right.
way, this is a lot easier, and I was able to build my personal training business on the side while having this stable, sort of half-time job too.
Yeah.
But to go out, I think probably the scariest thing, the hardest, most challenging thing is going out on my own and being out on, like, I both feel very proud of that fact, but also scared, and I won't say any bad words, but
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
scared about that sometimes too, which is, oh wait, because I'm solo.
Yeah.
It's just me. Like
Yes.
that's
Yes.
it. So
Yeah.
I have to drive my own engine, which is why I've signed up with you again, is because I need to have that support. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do it on my own. I may never be.
Yeah. And
And that's very powerful because I can apply that to my experience as a coach with my clients, which is, just I can fully empathize with why it's important to continue your support system as time goes on. So
and
I'd say that's it. The biggest challenge was just having faith in myself, and I think that's definitely where you came in, and the group came in, and where the Love Elevator, of course, came in, and just knowing that it's not going to be a perfect road, that there's two steps forward, one step back, three steps forward, two steps back. And being at my age, you said we're the same vintage. I've done a lot of those step forwards and backs, but have
yes,
progressively moved forward. And
exactly.
so I have trust and faith in the system, especially when, someone like you, a woman who has been through a lot and had to
Mhm.
transition your career. I mean, I can't even imagine being the sole breadwinner plus everything else. If you can do it, well, I could do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people are the you did it the hard way. Like you usually get the extreme version, and so I had the extreme version, but now I can help people like it's so if I can do that, it's going to be easier for someone else to come along. And so let's look at some numbers in terms of um, an hourly wage. And so I don't talk about an hourly wage because we don't want to when you're trading time for money, which is how most personal trainers are going. And so if you do the math, it's the same with health coaches. If you do the math, there's just not the only way for you to reach that six figures is putting in that many hours, and you're going to burn out before you get there. So instead, we're going to talk about what did we do instead of that and how we nurture people through. But when you look at your so there's two parts to this. Now, the wonderful thing about a personal trainer is you usually have clients. So a pure health coach that's come through health coaching school, nobody knows what a health coach is or why they'd want one. So
Right,
they
right.
usually have no clients. So that's there. But personal trainers are often working in a gym or working for someone else, and they're getting paid usually by the hour, or they've got their little practice and they're driving to Sally's house at 6 a.m. and this place over here in this other country. No,
Right.
but almost like they're driving here, there, and everywhere. Like I hear the story over and over because they're scrambling for clients. And so they'll go whenever, wherever somebody says,
I did
and
that.
it's exhausting and
Hmm.
they're burning out. And for the 30, $50, and at the end of that, they're back at zero. And then they're always playing that game and they're always behind. But then the question people have is like, well, what else is there? And so the difference between your income a year ago and now, and the difference in your time and what your day looks like a year ago and now, give us an idea of the compare and contrast. And then we'll talk about some of the things that allowed you to make that happen. So, what were some of the specifics of where you were and then now?
So when I stopped working at Jumpstart, the income that I lost there was replaced. So in terms of like, was I living a more lavish life? No, I was making about the same now. Again, I dropped down and then I went back up again to
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
six figure. But the difference was I had a lot more time
yeah,
on my hands.
yes.
So I could enhance my business. I could work out and stay fit and, and stay a role model for these. So I think for me, is that what you're saying? What is the
Yeah, yeah. And so like some of the benefits, like yeah, and you were sharing today, like I could work out. And so you would think, well, a personal trainer can work out, but not if you're always like training somebody
right?
else. And so when we're always going here, there, and everywhere, and now we have a little bit better structure. So if somebody is listening and they're burning out as a personal trainer in a gym, and they're like, I really want to I would love to make six figures. I mean, sometimes people are barely getting by as a personal trainer, but some of them are busy, but they're like, this isn't working. We have a few that are in that. And then they want to have more aligned practice. And the good thing about being on your own is no one's telling what to do, but the bad thing is no one's telling you what to
Right.
do. What were some of the principles or things that you implemented that allowed you to get, you know, four times as much time? But or where I think it was, I can't remember what you were saying, like, but based on if we did it by the hour, it would be four times as much, but we can keep it the same, but
In a
work
third
half
of the
as much.
time. I mean, it
It's
just
huge.
basically I was making the same amount I was making at Jumpstart and training, but now just training in a third of the time. So,
Yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
there were things I implemented for sure. I have a list of them here that
Yeah.
really helped me. I think first just signing up and having a structure to my growth.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing sort of, but I need that structure. I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing enough. And so I needed to, and I don't mind asking for help. I like that. It's
Yeah.
exciting. So there was that, and sort of investing in
Yeah.
myself and in this program. And then I think the things that really helped me that you taught and that I just firmed up were never leave one call without making the other. And in fact, try to make them all out.
Yeah.
Um, and then to that effect, don't cancel. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I would cancel, not a lot, but I don't do
Yeah.
it anymore. I just don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
hold my, and that I swear that has made a huge difference. It's like people are like, well, she's showing up, so I got to show up.
Yeah.
Um, Tracking my numbers. I don't do it on the spreadsheet, but I have my own way, and I've been doing that in some way, time we can maybe segue. But I do track, how many people I'm seeing each week, how much money I'm making each week, how many hours I'm working, and dividing them. And so I know on average what I'm making per hour on a
Hmm.
regular, and that's been pretty consistent.
Hmm.
Um, and so tracking and boundaries, huge. Like one of the things I learned from you, which I've really protected, was having, this is probably the saving grace, is having these Tuesdays and Thursdays where I just can't do meet people's needs all day long. I need to
Right.
have downtime where I can meet my needs and also meet my business needs and stuff like that. So protecting that time is huge. So that's probably been one of the most important things is having boundaries around my schedule, not working weekends, not working past 6 p.m., and then not working during those two when I had blocked off for business. Um, then just in terms of like incentives, I want people to buy packs, so I'll give them a freebie if they buy a pack of 10,
Hmm.
and I just keep those rolling. I also have deliver results. Like if they follow my program, they're going to get their results. They
Hmm.
really do.
Yeah.
And I think really protecting cancellation policy that for trainers, that's a big deal because people become really chummy. They're like, oh, I'm not going to show up, and the last minute you're like, well, what? Okay, it might be easy on you, but I
Yeah.
need that money. So
Yeah.
I'm very firm about all that
Yeah.
stuff, and I really hold to it, even if I love the person and they're a friend. They understand. I have babies that I need to. They're in college now, but
Yeah.
I do need to help them.
Yes.
So, I think holding those boundaries and really being clear about them first, but then also holding to them has been another really and then coming to these regular sales calls, learning from others, doing the retreats, those have been really helpful. The amount of, like if you go into the question vault,
Yeah.
there's so much
Yeah.
information. I mean, you have scripts, you have so much you can work with.
Yeah.
Learning how to, use CBP and Canva and Stripe and getting a website, a VSL up, all that stuff, something I can actually send to somebody,
Yeah.
just really empowered me.
Yeah. And I think so. Let's go through some of these. So if people are, I want to give people some tangible things to kind of look at and how this can work. And the usual business model of trading time for money, it will have you at a cap. Like there's only so many that you can help. The problem is people go, well, what's the alternative? Right? Like,
Right,
what else is there? So instead, what we want to do is engineer the process to deliver excellent results. If you keep at the forefront getting your clients excellent results, and what do you need to do to get excellent results? Because if you get excellent results, word's going to get out, you're going to get referrals, and then we start this engine running. And it always feels good to be the good one, like the good guy, like go, you got to go to see them because they're get the great results. So
yeah.
you want to be that expert. And so we want to engineer the system to be such that you have, I call it a container of transformation to allow your clients to get excellent results. Now we know if somebody just does one session, if you work out one day in your entire life, you're not going to get results.
Right,
The results come through the consistency, and not even just in a short period of time, really for years. And then
right,
you go from, caterpillar to butterfly. Like it is a transformation that will occur with consistency. And that's the same with your clients, and the same when in business, like in your business as well. And so really the only way to fail is to quit. And as you were saying, two steps forward, one but if we know, we keep your eye on the prize of where we're going, and then we know the only way to fail is to quit. And there is no really failing. It's just getting results that we didn't anticipate potentially. And then we can go and look at as we venture out, whether you're trying to do a workshop or a sales call or any of those things. And we ask ourselves, what went well? How can we make it better? What would we do differently next time? And then we do it again. And then we do it again. And then we just continually are getting better because the natural tendency is to beat up on ourselves. I can't believe I said this. I can't believe I did that. But instead, if we want to positive focus it, that's the thing that a lot of people don't do. And so that way we can work with what works. And in fact, if people are wanting this book, one of the chapters is Work with What Works, Six Figure Health Coach. I'll put a link in the description. You got you got the books there. There you go. That's how often how it starts. So if you want to get a copy, I'll put a free copy in the link below that you can have access to. And so that is what you've done this year is we're like continually going. You don't like as I've often said, every master was once a disaster, including moi. But the only way we get less disastrous, one of our clients said, was it a week or two ago? She goes, I'm less disastrous, which is awesome. And so we just kind of keep working, working, working. And so that it's just data that we're filling back, which brings me to the other point that you mentioned about tracking your numbers. Well, actually, before that, you talked about not canceling, which implies to, so the only way to fail is to quit. Then the way to succeed is to show up. Well, it's just like what, so if we show up consistently,
Yeah,
as we teach people how to treat us, partly by how we allow them to treat us, but how we treat them. And
sure.
so I'll never cancel on someone because then they're going like, oh, this is an environment where I can just cancel or reschedule all the time. And I share the example of certain friends that I have. Some never reschedule, but one, I love her, one of my best friends, but I know when we set something up, a 50-50, maybe 30% chance it's actually going to happen. So I usually have some backup plans. So I don't get mad. It's fine. But I also know if I wanted to do something different, I have no problem canceling there. But
Right.
so when we have clients, we want to make sure that we show up. So I like that you like that, like, doing that. And then if we want to deliver excellent results, we have to make sure that we've got that continuity. It's the consistency. So never leaving one call without booking the next. We don't want to just have a one and done because otherwise, in order to get them back, we got to go chase after them. We don't want to chase. We want them coming to us. And it's just so much easier for them and you if we just do this. The other great thing is consistency. Most personal trainers, I think, would do that like same date, your time is Tuesday at 2 or
Yeah,
whatever, like you usually would have that same time. um but then packages, you mentioned
yeah.
packages, so rather than doing a one-off session, incentivize 12, 14 weeks, but then the thing is have a deadline when all those have to be used by, which
Good
is
point.
more than which is more than the number of
True.
sessions. So like if you have 12 sessions, have them all done by 14 weeks, for example. Otherwise, if they do 10 sessions in 10 years, they're not going to get those results. So it comes back to excellence is the strategy, get
Right.
excellent results, and so on. So I
Yeah.
like that. Um, and then the tracking the numbers. When Rachel, who was the first one who reached six figures while I was writing this book, um, when I said, what was your aha moment? And like, what was the difference now? Because she'd struggled for a number of years, only had two clients, and then six figures in that first year. And she said, knowing my numbers, and your numbers will set you free. Now, some people might be recoiling and they might be like, I'm not a numbers person. And especially people who are like fit, like sometimes they're like, I'm not a numbers person. I don't like that. Sherry said that to me, one of our six-figure coaches. I don't like tracking numbers. And so I'm like, reward yourself. So once a week, track your numbers. So Friday, if it is, like track your numbers because your numbers will set you free and you'll realize what moves the needle and what doesn't. And
Hmm.
then you can work smarter, not harder. We're not talking about counting your dollars over here, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how do we show up and help people deliver excellent results. Any aha moments that you had when you were started tracking your numbers? Had you tracked your numbers before like that?
Vaguely, but more
Vaguely.
consistently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the thing is you'll know where you should be focusing your attention, and a lot of people's burnout is worry. And
Yes.
it's worry, it's travel time if you're a personal trainer, but it's worry and anxiety about where that next dollar and client, or what if they
Yeah.
cancel, or what if they don't show up, then my family starves. It's the anxiety that wears you out, not the actual hours. And if we start to tighten it up, letting people know in advance, I have this package, incentivize the package, have it be a certain time that they have to use it for, and then don't leave them there. I say, don't love them and leave them like this. Then what? Because they still have their body after that. And it's a lot easier to have that, what we call a continuity offer. So you'll have your signature offer. Will you teach the core things? And then there's the continuity offer on the back end of that, which can be the same price or less, relatively less per hour if we were to do it, but or per month. But it gives them, like, that's where the results really come in, is when
Right.
when they're consistent, and you don't have to go hunt down a new client. So
Because
you've
they're there.
saved up all that hunting time because people are coming in.
So
And I
yeah.
think a lot of people at the beginning, it's pulsing credit card, let's go, right? And
Yeah.
so they're willing to bend over
Yeah.
backwards. And what I've discovered is when you bend over backwards, you just get a broken back, and that
Right.
doesn't actually help, right? So if it's not sustainable for you, it's not excellent for your clients because you can't sustain that. And
Right.
that's super common. And I know so many personal trainers that are, one of them, she was, she was in New York, and she was going here, like, the travel time in
Yeah.
subways during the day. it so all we needed to do was take those same hours and mush them together, and it
Right.
saved her a week and allowed her to double triple her income.
Yeah.
And so it's about, at the core, we're working smarter, not harder, and really focusing on who is our ideal client and what do they want, and how can we help them get there faster, easier, more fun, all of that. And it usually is not by you grinding more. That's not usually it. But it's the playbook. A lot of people from our vintage, especially, that's what we used to. No pain, no
Hmm.
gain. Like,
The
we just got to
80s
work
were
harder,
grind.
right? Just grind it out, right? And
Can't
the
complain.
hustle
That's just
culture.
is Gen X.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say though, I am choosy at this. I mean, you know,
Yes.
I love our cohort because certainly there are people who've been doctors doing, you know, they've
Yes.
been down the line of taking care of others and they know the deal. And then there's, you know, wet behind the ears,
Yeah.
younger, sort of
Yeah.
just starting stuff out. And I would say definitely in the beginning, you know, 27 years ago when I started, I was very timid.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to ask. I was afraid to assert. I was afraid. And but I would just say that if there's anything I would say to newbies coming in developing a new business is just like have faith in your knowledge of what your expertise is,
Yeah.
period, and just focus on that because your true self and authenticity will come out over time as you practice. But you know, in the beginning, it always feels a little bit, you know, kind of structured and
Yes. Yeah.
rehearsed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
eventually it becomes yours, and that just takes time.
Yeah, lean into your uniqueness. And I
Right.
think as you're setting up, and you look at your current practice, and you're wanting to get, people are listening in and they're wanting to get to six figures, and like, how can they morph it? And sometimes it's twofold. Like, sometimes there's a two-phase process. I talked to someone today that has a two-phase process. Um, and maybe the first phase is taking your personal training business. Like, some people, like, are done with personal training and they switch completely over to coaching. They don't ever want to do personal training again. That's fine.
I've
Some
been
people,
there.
yeah. And some people, like, well, I'd like to do it if I could do it in a different way, or with
Right.
certain people, but not other people. And so it's
Yes.
really about, first step, defining what do you want, and you get to want what you want, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's. It could be in person, it could be online, and we have people doing all of it. It could be a mix of personal training and coaching and nutrition, or it could be one or the other. All of those things are fine, but we want to identify for you what would feel good for you, and write down, like, your ideal practice. Like, in an ideal world, you wave the magic wand, you can be, do, have anything. What does that look like for you? And then keep your eye on that prize. Then we look with real honest to goodness look. How many clients do we have? What's the income that we have? What are the hours we currently have? And then we've got the gap. Now we look at, okay, how do we bridge the gap? One of the things is packages showing up consistently. You go first. And then the other thing is boundaries, like you were talking about, and your hours of operation. And so, what I teach is have people scrub in like a surgeon and then scrub out. That works. And your hours of operation do not have to look like anybody else's. So somebody else might serve them and they love working in the evenings. Somebody else might love to work in the mornings. Sherry works in the mornings, in the afternoon. She rides her horse. She bought a horse. She rides her horse, takes care of her horse. You can do that. And so you can do it in three days a week. You can do it in 5 short days. Or like Martita, she'll work from January to June, take July off, and then work August to November and take, or November, December off. Be good for you is my motto. We figure out what do you want in your stage of life with your things. And then once we know where we're trying to get to, we want to carve out some non-negotiable hours of operation, but have it fit you first.
Right.
These are your times. You are the prize, and the prize never chases. And so once you're never going to find a time that works for everybody. For your ideal client, they will do what they can to work with you. There is an advantage with virtual because you have a little bit more freedom and you don't have to deal with traffic times. When they come to you, that's better than if you have to go elsewhere, unless it's not because you got 15 kids that you have to keep quiet. Like whatever the thing is,
Right.
be good for you, like whatever that thing is. And then, but setting those hours of operation and having them small but non-negotiable. I always say blood and sirens are the only thing that interrupts this. Like, so you always honor those hours and then build in a flex time, a flex day, whether it's a
Yeah.
Friday or whatever, that you could do overflow or if there are some emergencies in that. But then when you're working and you're not going to lunch with the girls or anything like that. But then when you're not working, you're not working. And that's when you do all the other things that you want to do. And when everything has a place and you honor that and you get into the rhythm, then
Yeah.
then that eliminates that burnout. And then when we know if I have these many clients at this price point with this number converting over into the ascension, the continuity offer, that I'm going to reach my goals, then I just relax into it and I move up. What do I need to do at the front end to make sure that happens on the back end? I am simplifying it, but that's as much as I can in a call here. But that is basically what you did that allowed you to get more time, uh, keep your income, and be able to still make a difference, but get your life back, which was burning out, and on your own terms, working with who you want, when you want, how you want, from where you want.
Yes.
Because the biggest downside for me working for someone else is you got to say what they say, when you got to show when they want you to. You'll take holidays if they say you can, all that kind of stuff. And so that freedom, I always say I'm psychologically unemployable.
Right.
I can
Me
no
too.
longer work for something else. So I love that. And then yeah, and then just having the tools to work this. Anything else?
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure. I would say
anything.
probably a couple things. I do send text messages to my people the night before. I physically do it. I don't have a system, which I can do, and I do my little strong arm in there,
Yeah.
and so that keeps me sort of emotionally attached to them for
Yes.
weekly. But then those clients I have, I really do see them, hear them, pay attention to them. If they say something like, "Oh God, I really want to be able to work out with," like I had this woman, she had a hard time with gripping things. She had some issues with the grip. So I just took it on myself to do a little research on gloves that could help with gripping, and I sent her some options and just let her know that I'm thinking about what she says. And people get surprised by it all the time. They're like, "Oh, you heard me." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I think part of that is that will go miles. Like if you show up and really hear your people and not have your own agenda and force it on them all the time, just really listen to them, people will appreciate that and they'll come back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I know, the next phase for you is okay, we've got our six figures and it's way better than it was. Now, the next phase for you is how can we even do more of the coaching and less of the personal training and integrate it? And that's what we're going to talk about next, you and I
Yeah.
off camera.
Yeah.
So that's the next phase of this, but it's okay to do it in phases. But in that phase, or if you're somebody who's a coach, I'm going to say don't text, email in between because then you put yourself up for, hey, quick question.
Right, right, right.
But
Yeah.
yes, hear them and listen to them. And that's the benefit of the coaching, like meeting somebody weekly coaching. Then you can hear them. And then at your next session, that confines your client to that like 1 hour. And you get in, you're focused 100% on them. And then you're out and you're focused on you or the dog or the
The
whatever,
next
like it is
person.
that you're, yeah, or the next person. And so that allows you to be fully present in that. But a lot of people, coaches, not personal trainers, I don't see them doing that, but health coaches, they make a mistake. And guys, it's going to burn you out. Is you're like so happy to get a client. And
Right.
then you like write out this whole essay afterwards of everything that you said and did and all the recommendations. The person who needs to know the recommendations is them. You already know it. They are the ones who have to know what to do. They're the ones who have to take responsibility for writing down drink water. Got it. Get to sleep. Got it. Turn off screens. Whatever those instructions are, they don't need a long list of things. They just need to know what do they need to do. And it can be client led. They can say, here's what I want to work on. The important thing is what they need to do. And so we want to minimize the in between because that
Right.
can lead to burnout. Personal training, it's not that much. Here it's for in that case, they don't expect you to do that. So you can get away with it there and they'll know that you're listening to them, which is
Right.
absolutely when they feel heard, you're like, oh, I'm not just a number to you. You really care. That you're absolutely right, Erica. Like that goes miles. Um, I have absolutely loved chatting with you, giving people a little bit of the inside scoop on what works, what doesn't work, how can they pivot their practices so they can shine their light, do the work that they love. If people are looking at you and saying, "How do I get arms like that?" No, if people are looking at you saying, "How can they work with you? How can they find out more about you?" You have a tremendous amount of knowledge and you deliver excellent results. uh what's the best way for people to reach out?
My VSL or website is strong is the new skinny. So that's one word, obviously, .com. So that's
Strong
where,
is the new skinny.com. Love
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Are you on social media?
Not really. I'm getting
Yeah.
there. That's something I'm going to be taking on next also, but I don't really have a huge presence. I have Facebook, but you have to be a friend of mine to be invited. So my name
So
face on Facebook, Erica Peters, but I Strong as the New Skinny is a subgroup.
okay, strongistheNewSkinny.com is how you can reach out with to her. And yet another example of somebody who's reached six figures, helping people with their health, and not really on social media. All the time, people are constantly, I need to go viral, I need to post 6 times a day, and I'm so exhausted and I still have no paying clients. And so we
Right.
have so many examples of that. That's
Yeah.
not it. You do need to have an offer helping somebody with a real problem deliver real results. You do need a way to attract them, but it doesn't need to be social media. And the best attraction is delivering excellent results and your
Yeah.
clients will do the work for you. And then how do you invite them into it? And so, and then having a package that doesn't burn you out. So, absolutely loved chatting with you. And if you see a link, we sometimes do some small group trainings on how to go from 0 to 6 figures. We can customize this to you, whether a personal trainer or a doctor, so you can take a look at that. Absolutely pleasure chatting with you, Erica. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thanks.